According to NFL casuals and non-ball knowers, the Chiefs are cheaters. What are your guys' response?
I think this is just silly, and it all really just comes down to three numbers for me. The first is that since 2022, the Chiefs have been penalized actually more total yardage than their opponents. Second, they've been called for 43 more pass interference penalties than their opponents since 2018. And finally, Mahomes has actually drawn 31 roughing the passer penalties since 2018, but compare that to Josh Allen, who's drawn 38 of those penalties. And those aren't even the top two. Since 2018, they rank number 7th and 8th, respectively, when it comes to quarterbacks and the total number of roughing the passer penalties that they've drawn.
The problem with all of this is that, one, I just take it as a compliment, because at the end of the day, you can't really respond to that narrative. And that's why it's so parasitic. It's such an easy little thing to say, oh, the fix is in, the league is rigged, they want the Chiefs to win. It's a parasitic response because it's unintelligible. You have nothing to respond to. There's no legitimate data proven, and whatever, rare statistics are thrown out, they can easily be disproven or countered with other statistics. And so it's more of just this state of being to where if as a non-Chiefs fan, hate the Chiefs so much that I have to cope in my mind and find a way. Why did they beat my team? Why do the Chiefs always beat my team? Well, it can't be that they're better. It has to mean that they're cheating. And that's why it's actually ridiculous last season that not a single Chiefs player was on the ballot for any award whatsoever. You look at the Chiefs last season, every single week at the end of the week throughout the entire NFL regular season, they were the best record in the NFL. So what happened? Well, because they clearly didn't have an MVP candidate, Mahomes was nowhere to be found. They didn't have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Chris Jones was nowhere to be found. They didn't have an Offensive Player of the Year, Mahomes wasn't there either. They didn't have Offensive Rookie of the Year, Xavier Worthy was nowhere to be found. Oh, they must have had Coach of the Year. Well, no, Andy Reid was on the ballot, but he didn't win, and he really wasn't close whatsoever to winning. So the league, it's just what made the Chiefs successful last year? Was it blind luck? Was it that none of the players are good and they just randomly won 15 football games? They were 15-1 in NFL games that they were attempting to win. Like, that doesn't just happen, folks. So the only rational response for people that can't accept that some of their players might be good, that Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback in the league, that Andy Reid might be the best coach in the league, that Chris Jones might be at least a top 3 defensive player in the league. If you can't accept any of that, then the only route left to go is to say that they're cheating. And it's silly because there's nothing you can say in response other than to laugh and wave as you win more and more Super Bowls.
Yeah, and I think I agree with everything you said, but I think that what's really sad about this whole entire narrative is that I know why the Chiefs were seemingly able to win every single game by like a point. It's because they have the best head coach, offensive play caller, and the best defensive play caller in the NFL right now. And so what makes me sad about this conversation is that everyone is talking about how the Chiefs are cheating. And like, to be fair, the reason why this is the narrative is not just because they're winning a lot, but because they're winning by so close. And so people are saying like, look, there's that one play. Because if it's a blowout, you can't look at one play and say that's what was the deciding factor. But every single game is going to have controversial calls. But when you're winning by, 5 or 6 points every single week, people are going to start to say, well, that's suspicious. But the reason why this is something they're able to do is because Andy Reid is just that good of a coach, especially when you pair him with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes and a defensive coordinator like Spagnuolo. And so the saddest part about this whole entire thing to me is that Andy Reid and Spagnuolo aren't getting any of the credit they deserve because them winning is totally attributed to the Chiefs are cheaters, that the refs are on their side. Like, it's just so sad because when you watch the way that they play, you can clearly see that Spagnuolo knows how to dial up the perfect blitz at the perfect time to make that one stop that they need to get over the hump. That Andy Reid knows the exact timing out when they need to run that play to get that first down. Like, they are that good at their jobs. It almost seems like Andy Reid can just get a first down whatever he wants. Now, obviously, the Super Bowl happened. No amount of coaching can overcome the deficiency between the offensive line of the Chiefs and the defensive line of the Eagles. But even that being the case, that is why they're successful. And last year, the reason why they didn't have any players that had astronomical numbers, and yet they still had, like you said, 15-1 in games they tried, is because their coaching, their game time decision, their offensive play calls, and their defensive play calls were so good that they were able to keep it close and win in the end because their head coach and their defensive coordinator is that good. And that's the conversation that we need to be having surrounding the Chiefs. Not that they're cheaters, but look at how good their coaching staff is and how much of a floor raiser that Andy Reid really is.
1,000%. I agree with everything you just said. And the one thing I'll add on to it is the fact that in all of the noise and the chaos when it comes to the one possession victories, you want to know a statistic that was lost? Patrick Mahomes set the NFL record last season for most game-winning drives. Like, if you have the best offensive play caller and probably the best defensive play caller and the most clutch quarterback in the league, guess what? You're going to win, and you're going to win a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And so for me, it's less about like, listen, every single dynasty people are going to hate on. Like, we still hate on the Cowboys because of what they did
Not
in the
necessarily,
90s.
though. A lot of dynasties are beloved. Like, I guess it happens a little bit more in basketball, but the Bulls of the 90s were beloved. The Lakers of the late 90s, early 2000s were beloved. I mean, you can go back. I think the Patriots were certainly hated, but not to this amount. So,
Which is crazy because they actually cheated. They were proven
multiple
cheaters.
times. Multiple
Like, no one
times.
cares. Like, the revisionist history is crazy.
I mean, the Patriots were proven multiple time cheaters. Bill Belichick is one of the least friendly. I actually like Bill Belichick, but I mean, there's nothing about his personality that glows. Tom Brady didn't really open up in terms of like face of the league until the last portion of his career, and even more so going into the Tampa Bay years when, you know, he escaped the death trap that is the Patriot way. And yet the Chiefs will get more hate, but that's what comes with winning.
And also, to kind of clarify your point, I agree with you that early dynasties 100% were beloved. And the reason why is because they were cultural phenoms, meaning that like the 96 or the Bulls in the 90s and the 80s and the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, and even like the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, like they were what brought the game to national attention. And so, of course, those dynasties were beloved. But now that these sports that these leagues are in the national attention and already have the spotlight, now we see that dynasties 100% aren't beloved. You can look at not really a dynasty, but you know, just like in the NBA when LeBron James went to the Heat, when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors and created that dynasty, like maybe looking back, we think, wow, that was really awesome. But in the moment, everyone hated it. And so the same thing happened with the Patriots and with the Chiefs. This is just the way we are. This is the world we're in, where when dynasties are created, people hate
But that's the thing, though, is for just looking at this century, all of the other dynasties, it makes like there's a reason to why. It's like with the Patriots, they cheated multiple times. with the Warriors. They made a move that everyone thought was unfair and ridiculous and instantly turned people against them because originally they were beloved. What thing have the, like, it can't be as simple as Travis Kelce starting to date Taylor Swift. Like, can that really be the cultural event that made the Chiefs hated? Like, that seems really silly.
That would be an indictment on our culture for sure.
That's what I mean. Like, all of those other dynasties that are disliked, there's a very specific thing that happened. And it's not just the winning, it's a thing that happened.
What's crazy too is that the Chiefs did it in like the way that everyone wants them to do it. They got their quarterback at the 10th overall pick. They developed him. They were able to draft their guys. They were able to do all these things. Like, they were able to do it in an incredibly ethically way.
Andy Reid was like the most beloved head coach in the NFL. Like, everyone loved Andy Reid.
On top of that, they're a small market team that doesn't have, like, all of their superstars are homegrown.
I believe they're it's either third or fourth. They're either the third or the fourth smallest market in the NFL.
I think it's third.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, what are we doing?
It really is mind-boggling to me what this narrative is. And I can really just like attribute it to how, just like hot take media, you say something controversial and, yeah. Although I will say, and this is like, even coming from my perspective, there are moments where I'm watching the Chiefs and I'm like, give me a break. You know what I mean?
Well, but that happens with winners. I don't think that's not the cheating thing. Like, that's existed throughout the history of sports. I don't care about the give me a break calls and commentary and stuff like that. It's that it wasn't just like a general, like, it was in the A block of multiple, morning and afternoon sports talk shows. Are the Chiefs cheating? Is the biggest sports league in the world actually rigged? That's not good for the sport or the league whatsoever. So, like, the conversation boiled over in a way that it's bad for the game.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what happens when media is just trying to get clicks.
Yeah. Which we don't do, guys.
Shout out to the media enemy of the show.
Shout out to media, longtime enemy of this show.